Ancient aliens, gods and myths. Oh my. The Sumerians kept records of their history and culture on thousands of clay tablets. These artifacts are some of the oldest pieces of writing ever discovered. They date back to 2600 BC, over 4,000 years ago, and they have survived for all this time in pretty good condition. Most of them were found in the ancient Sumerian city of Ur, which is where we get the word for our... Many of the tablets were found in the Royal Library of Ashurbanipal, which contained over 30,000 clay tablets. Some scholars claim that many of these tablets tell the story of the Anunnaki, and that these beings were gods who visited Earth from another planet. But others say the Anunnaki were just mythical figures created by the Sumerians to explain natural phenomena like earthquakes and floods. So what's the truth? Were the Anunnaki gods? Were they aliens? Or were they simply a myth? The Sumerians were one of the first civilizations to develop in Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq. They flourished from around 2900 BC to 2350 BC. The Sumerians invented the plow and the wheel and made great advances in mathematics and astronomy. They also developed a system of writing using a wedge-shaped script that was impressed into clay tablets with a reed stylus. It was on these tablets that the Sumerians recorded their history, culture, and mythology. One of the most interesting aspects of Sumerian culture is their mythology. The Sumerians believed that the world was created by a group of gods called the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki was said to have come from a planet called Nibiru, which orbited the sun every 360 years. The Sumerians believed that the Anunnaki were very advanced technologically, and that they had come to Earth to help the humans. But over time, the Anunnaki became more and more tyrannical, and they eventually enslaved the humans. The Sumerians believed that the Anunnaki were responsible for creating the Great Flood that destroyed the world. But after the flood, the Anunnaki left Earth, and the humans were free to start over. Now, there are a few different theories about who or what the Anunnaki were. Some scholars believe that they were simply a group of gods who lived in the sky. In Sumerian mythology, the sky was called An, and the Anunnaki were said to be the children of An-Ki, the goddess of the earth. According to this view, the Anunnaki were not physical beings who walked the earth, but rather they were spirits or deities who controlled the forces of nature. They were seen as both benevolent and malevolent, depending on their mood. When they were in a good mood, they would help the humans, but when they were in a bad mood, they would cause them great suffering. For example, the Sumerians believed that an earthquake was caused by the god Enki getting angry and stomping his foot. Or they believed that a flood was caused by the goddess Nia taking a bath in a nearby lake. To the Sumerians, the Anunnaki were unpredictable, and their actions could not be understood by human logic. They were simply beyond human comprehension. This view of the Anunnaki as gods is supported by the fact that the Sumerians built huge temples and ziggurats dedicated to them. They also built altars and shrines where they could worship the Anunnaki and make offerings to them. However, other scholars argue that the Anunnaki were not gods at all, but rather extraterrestrial visitors from another planet. This view is based on the fact that the Sumerian texts describe the Anunnaki as having wings and flying machines. They are also said to have come from a planet called Nibiru, which has been interpreted as meaning crossing or rebel. According to this view, the Anunnaki were not gods, but rather human-like beings from another planet who came to Earth on a mission of exploration or conquest. The idea that the Anunnaki were aliens is supported by the fact that the Sumerian texts describe them as coming from the planet Nibiru. Nibiru is said to orbit the sun every 360 years. And it is possible that this is a reference to an actual planet. However, there is no scientific evidence that such a planet exists. Some people believe that Nibiru is actually Planet X, a hypothetical planet that is claimed to orbit the sun on a highly elliptical orbit. If Planet X does exist, it would take between 260 and 500 years to orbit the sun. This would fit with the Sumerian description of Nibiru, but there is still no scientific evidence that either Nibiru or Planet X exists. So what's the truth? Were the Anunnaki gods? Were they aliens? Or were they simply a myth? There is no easy answer to this question, and it is ultimately up to each individual to decide what they believe. However, it is important to keep in mind that the Sumerians were a real civilization that lived thousands of years ago. The Sumerian tablets are some of the oldest pieces of writing ever discovered, and they contain valuable insights into the history and culture of the ancient world. Whether or not you believe in the Anunnaki, these artifacts are an important part of our shared human heritage. Hey guys, thanks for watching my video about the Sumerian tablets and the I hope you enjoyed learning about this fascinating topic with me. If you did, please subscribe to my channel so you never miss an exciting episode. I'm also active on social media, so be sure to follow me there for updates and fun stuff. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. There is some really interesting information on those tablets that may change everything we know about human history. First, let's talk about how the tablets were actually found. Many of these tablets were discovered in the ruins of ancient Sumerian cities like Uruk and they were found buried under floors, hidden in wall cavities, and even inside a chamber deep beneath the foundations of a ziggurat. What's interesting is that some of these tablets appear to have been deliberately buried or concealed, which raises questions about why the Sumerians took such measures to hide them. Were they trying to keep their knowledge of the Anunnaki and their technology away from prying eyes? Or were they protecting the tablets from destruction during times of war or upheaval? What is even more fascinating is that the Sumerian tablets seem to suggest that the Anunnaki were not just mythological beings, but rather historical figures who actually visited Earth. For example, one tablet tells the story of how the hero Gilgamesh embarks on a quest to find the secret of immortality. On his journey, he meets a mysterious figure named Utnapishtim, who tells him about the great flood that destroyed the world and how he was chosen by the gods to build a massive boat to survive the deluge. This story is remarkably similar to the story of Noah's Ark in the Bible, leading some scholars to speculate that the Sumerian account predates the biblical account and may have served as the basis for the story of Noah. Another Sumerian myth tells the story of the goddess Ninhursag, who gives birth to 7 gods. These gods are said to have been the Anunnaki who came to Earth from Neb. One of the gods, Enki, is said to have taught the humans how to farm, fish, and hunt, while another god, is said to have taught them how to build houses and make tools. These stories suggest that the Sumerians believed that the Anunnaki were not only powerful, but also benevolent beings who helped the humans in their time of need. The Sumerian texts also contain some strange and mysterious stories that are difficult to interpret. For example, one tablet tells the story of how the hero travels to the land of the sun and retrieves a flower that is said to be the source of all life. Another tablet tells a story of how the hero Dumuzid goes to the underworld and is resurrected by his wife, the goddess Inanna. These myths may have been symbolic representations of astronomical events or natural phenomena, but they may also suggest that the Sumerians believed that the Anunnaki had access to powers that were beyond the realm of human understanding. These tablets also contain some truly bizarre tales that make us question everything we think we know about the ancient world. For example, one tablet describes how a group of demons known as the Ajiji rebelled against the Anunnaki and refused to do their work. As punishment, the Anunnaki chained them up and threw them into the sea, where they became fish. Another tablet tells the story of a great battle that took place between the Anunnaki and a group of giants known as the Kas. The battle was so fierce that the Anunnaki had to call upon all their strength to defeat the giants and hurl them into the depths of the earth. These stories raise a lot of questions. What kind of advanced technology did the Sumerians have access to that allowed them to record these stories on clay tablets? Why did they choose to bury some of these tablets deep underground? And what was the true nature of the Anunnaki? Were they gods, aliens, or something else entirely? These are the kinds of questions that keep me up at night. I believe that there is much more to these tablets than meets the eye. I think that they contain hidden knowledge that has been deliberately concealed from the public. I think that the Sumerians were much more advanced than we give them credit for, and that they had access to technology that was far beyond their time. I also believe that the Anunnaki were real, and that they visited Earth long ago. However, I don't believe that they were gods. I think that they were simply extraterrestrial beings who came from a planet far, far away. I know that this is a controversial topic and that many people will disagree with me. But I don't care. I think that the evidence is clear and that the truth is out there. We just have to keep searching for it. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.